I saw this video from Gary Tan, and I was curious to see what he had to say on how to start a real movement. I mean, if anyone would know, I suppose it'd be him, right?
You can choose to have a normal life, or you can choose something totally different. I'm here to say that if you're watching this, you might be able to choose to put a dent in the universe. And Steve Jobs pointed the way back in
I
1994.
want to polish the universe, not
When
dent
you
it.
grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life. Have fun. Save a little money.
The world is not the way it is. The world is the way we allow it to be. And if you go out there with will of steel and a long enough time horizon, the world can look different at the end. There can be a new normal, and you can play a small role or a large role in deciding what that new normal looks like.
But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
Now, there's a little, maybe they were a little smarter. Again, listen, I think I'm reasonably intelligent, and I probably couldn't do half the stuff that I see like plumbers do as far as design the intricacies and understand all the engineering and this, that, and the other. I think people's expertise, again, lends itself more to one way or the other. Can competence be broadly scoped? Yeah, some smart people can do some other smart things, but I think that the tweak I would make here is it's not that they're not as smart as you or you're smarter than them. It's that the barrier for how smart you have to be to actually have a meaningful impact on the world is so much lower than you think. You have to be willing to commit to something for a long enough time horizon. Consistency in time means so much more than effort and ferocity and raw intelligence in my mind.
The minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing.
As Steve said, the moment you realize the world can be influenced by your actions, everything changes. But how does that change get transferred from you to others? Usually the best ideas start as little known ones until a group of really passionate, hardworking believers turn them into a movement, a social movement, and then one day, seemingly overnight, it's everywhere. How does it become that way? I've really been lucky to see it firsthand. I've funded hundreds of companies right when they were just a few people starting out. Now more than a dozen of them are worth more than $1 billion, and every single one of them started as a movement. It's a team and a direction and a thing that helps millions and possibly billions of people. Today,
I don't know if they started as a movement. And again, who am I? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But did they start it as a movement, or did they contribute to a trend and then become big enough to own or have some level of claim on what that movement or what that kind of culture grew into? Like, when I think of like the DoorDashes and the Airbnbs and the this of the world, like some of that is a cultural shift. Some of it is meeting the market demands, right? Like how many businesses exist in the way that they exist because of COVID? Was that a cultural movement, or was that like a social movement, or was that just the reality of the world? And how different, how distinct are the two, right? Again, we start getting into nuance here, but I think it's about, there are trends in what people want and your ability to capitalize on them. And if you become a big player in that, you can drive a lot of the narrative around it. But I feel like the world turns. It turns whether you like it, whether you don't like it. And it's all about what happens in between that sets that. What's the consumer demand? What are people's problems of today? And what are you going to do to solve them?
we're going to talk about how a movement is born and what you can do to build that movement. Let's get into it.
What a vibe.
That was one of the first songs played by the Ramones at CBGB in New York City in 1974. A lot of people consider them to be one of the best bands in history. This was a historic moment for punk rock, and the music played in this one music hall in New York City is now a part of our Western collective consciousness. You might not have ever heard that song, but you've heard the echoes of it in rock songs for decades now. So a musician might create a new sound that becomes an international phenomenon, and just like that, startup founders might create a new product that creates new experiences that touch 1 billion people. It turns out punk rock has a lot more to share with startups than you might think, but we'll get back to that at the end. So you want to start a movement, whether it's music or startups or social change or any creative endeavor, it's the same. Researcher Jonathan Christensen said, social movements can be thought of as organized yet informal social entities that are engaged in extra-institutional conflict that is oriented towards a goal. What is extra-institutional conflict? Conflict is actually fundamentally born of a particular problem.
The only issue that I have with that definition as it relates to like startups, or sometimes it's not a group. Sometimes it's and again, depends on which startup you're talking about, like the jobs version, which is I'm going to tell you what the customer wants. Then there's everybody else, let's say, or, jobs, Ford, et cetera. They all fall in that same bucket. And then there's everybody else, which says, I'm going to try and give the market what they want, right? Or I myself have identified with this problem and I'm going to create a solution that I want. And then the market, because I am representative of my market segment, they're going to want it as well. Like, again, is that a collective fight or is that just a collective problem? Are they the same thing? Does it matter?
And the goal is to solve that problem. Do you ever wonder why we call computers personal computers? Well, at that time in the 1970s, personal computers were a crazy idea. At the time, only large businesses and universities and governments had access to them. And this was the conflict. The powers that be didn't even think normal people would ever want it. This is what the dawn of the personal computer revolution looked like.
Clubs of enthusiasts grew up all over America, like the Homebrew Computer Club in San Francisco, where members showed off what their homebrewed computers could do. From these modest beginnings came a series of startup companies selling parts for the Altair, and soon, whole computers. By 1976, there were enough of them to hold a convention in Atlantic City.
The recognition of a problem, the creation of business to solve that problem.
Off in a corner of the convention hall were a group of raggedy-looking guys selling circuit boards. Two of them would become synonymous with a personal computer: Steve Jobs and Stephen Wozniak.
Look at that cut.
As teenagers growing up in Silicon Valley, Jobs and Wozniak had developed reputations as high-tech pranksters, all too eager to snub their noses at authority.
Woz and I had known each other since I was about 12 or 13 years old. And our first project together was we built these little blue boxes to make free telephone calls. So when it came to building a computer together, Woz was the brilliant hardware engineer and focused on the core design of the computer. And I was worrying about which parts we ought to use and how we were going to build these things and how somebody that wasn't a Woz was going to manage to buy all the extra parts you still needed to buy and plug this thing together.
This is an important part. I think so many people overlook, like, again, Jobs plus or minus, he's an asshole, he's a world changer, everything in between. The value in someone really caring about the customer experience, I think, often goes overlooked and is very underappreciated. It doesn't mean that the customer needs a $1 billion experience every time they log in, but if you've ever seen the way that Woz did things, like, he was a tech and he thought like a tech and he wanted people to be tech and to be a part of that. So the idea of Steve really focused on, one, the logistics of, yeah, you can design a circuit board like this, but if we can't produce a circuit board like that, then how far does it take us? To the other side of, what's that customer's experience really going to look like? And are they going to engage with it well? Because if they don't, the best tech in the world that we can't manufacture, that a customer has a poor experience with because they don't know how to utilize, that's failure, right? This is part of the whole idea of Just because you built the best mousetrap doesn't mean you're going to get sales. You have to sell it. You have to market it. You have to ensure it actually meets the needs of the customer. Are you so certain it is a better mousetrap? Or have you just convinced yourself?
So I was not designing a computer with any idea we'd ever start a company, ever have a product, ever be successful. It was just to go down to the club and show off and to own and use. Steve saw the interest, and he started coming up with ideas right away how this thing could be turned into product, how it could be marketed.
And that movement ended up turning into computers on every desk in every home, and yes, now the one in your hand and in your pocket.
But notice why Woz did it. He didn't care about any movement. He wanted to show off. He wanted to be a part of his little community and to do so. He was doing it selfishly. And I think that's like an amazing thing, because someone may not help you for your sake, but they'll help you for their sake. And you know what? You both win. Like Woz was building this computer for himself to impress people at the thing, to get a girl, to do whatever. Thanks, Woz. Like, I'm glad you were selfish. Like, I'm glad you did this. And I'm glad that Steve, he was like, hey, we can make money. That was his selfish. Like, it's how about how you apply the selfishness, and are you kind of corrupt in it? Like, you're so selfish that you actually like ruin the thing. Woz was like, no, this is mine and I care and I want to use it. It's like, well, yeah. And because you put yourself into it, we benefit. You didn't just try and go and see, where's there an opportunity to make something? It's like, no, they wanted a blue box so that way they could make free phone calls. You want to know why? Because they were tired of making phone calls that cost a lot of money. They were solving problems for themselves. That, I think, is so powerful. It's the movement isn't the movement for each other. The movement is the movement for yourself. Like, there's no we. There's just a collection of I's, and those I's standing together mean more than a we to me.
That you're using to watch this right now. And that's how it all starts. First, as a fringe movement almost 50 years ago. Now, society has changed completely. And that's the lesson. Sometimes if you really believe in something, you've got to do it yourself. The first stage to any movement is this exactly: emergence or social ferment. What do you want that nobody else cares about yet? What problem do you see first? Try to solve it for yourself. Then you might find that a lot of other people need it too. If you find that a lot of other people need what you're creating, that's when you'll find people start following you. One of my favorite authors, Derek Sivers, actually talks exactly about this in his TED Talk. That is what it takes to create a movement from scratch. Leadership isn't enough. It's about the followers too.
First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed.
One of my favorite things, if you haven't seen this video, this guy dances and then more and more people show up. I saw this great quote. It's sometimes the leader needs to do it so that solo, so the pack can see that it's safe to do it together, right? This idea of doing it alone, doing it scared, doing these things, it's often the requirement because everyone else is scared to do it, self-conscious to do it, nervous to do it, whatever word you want to use. But that leadership, not only is it a nice to have, often it's a requirement to have, because otherwise people that want to get over the fence, they just need that extra little push. And sometimes they don't feel strongly enough to do it themselves. But if you give them that extra 0.5%, that extra 1%, that's enough to get them to show up and dance, shall we say.
But he's doing it so easy to follow. So here's this first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice,
this is an important piece. It's not I, it's we in the community. Like the energy you bring, like you, I, as I said, are like there yourself. But the idea that like, hey, you're here too. Like we're here, you yourself and me, myself, we are here together. High fives, like this is amazing. You're awesome because you're here. And that guy goes, you're awesome because you started it. And it's like, hey, maybe we're both awesome. Let's keep dancing. Like there's a key point of and this applies to hiring pretty often. That's why I think about it, because just so many of the companies I work with are doing hiring, is you don't want to hire like 20 people all at once, because on top of it being just a nightmare to onboard and train and manage, and some people quit in 2 weeks and blah, 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 you're bringing a bunch of strangers into a room. Notice 50 people didn't run up all at once. You hire one person, you hire 2 people, you hire 3 people. You get those people kind of marinate and talk to each other and set a culture, set a tone, set a vibe. Now, when you bring new people in, it's like someone coming to a party that's already halfway in. They know what the vibe is. Are people playing beer pong? Are people dancing? Are people in the backyard hanging out, sitting around a fire? Like, the vibe is already there, so it gives more people more room to know, hey, is this party for me or is it not? Is there a place I want to go? Is there not? Am I welcomed? Am I not? That initial culture can allow more followers to come and onboard much more smoothly, because there's a culture that pre-exists, not one that they have to participate in creating. It'd be like going to a party and them saying, what kind of party should we have? And you're like, you invited me. Like, what are you talking about? Like, is it a cookout? Is it a dance thing? Is it, chilling in the backyard? Like, you tell me and I'll know if I want to go and what I can do to contribute.
That the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader.
True. You go from an idiot to a team.
And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not 2 nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers...
Actually, that's, again, really important. No surprise. The movement being public, there's no way to find, like, if you're a community, but you only stay in your room, like you never even post online, you can never be found. Like, no one's going to break in and be like, are you friends? Like, do you play video games too? It's like, that doesn't work. You have to show up. You have to put yourself out there. And here's my favorite part. Notice they're just on the side of some hill. They're not putting themselves out there like, let me make a great social media post, or let me like get a $5,000 production company to help me do all this nonsense. Like, no, they're just out in the world. Doesn't matter if it's pretty, doesn't matter if the room's fancy. I've been in rooms that were hideous talking to really important people. And I've been in random places at random cafes on random hillsides and seen little movements pop up. Like, location matters, but the location is never an excuse. The only excuse is, are you at least unlocking the door, right? Again, you can never leave your house and still be public, still be out there, because you're posting on forums and engaging and tweeting. But otherwise, you can just go outside and go to a networking event and see what happens.
Emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum.
Notice how much bigger it gets once it gets bigger. Like, the more people that are there, the more people want to show up, the easier it is to onboard more and more people, because there's already a culture. They already know what's going on. They're not like nervous, because it's already, the culture has been set.
This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to.
You could be the first leader or the first follower, but either way, you've got to have intrinsic motivation, really wanting it from the bottom of your heart, not because someone else told you to. You're going to need to be able to champion your idea or your company, not someone else. If Steve Jobs looked to Hewlett-Packard for a playbook, he never would have started Apple. If Brian Armstrong looked to big finance for approval, he never would have started Coinbase. If the Velvet Underground just copied whatever was mainstream at the time, the rock and roll greats like the Ramones and Nirvana would never have emerged.
This is an important piece of, you don't, just because someone has done it a way, in no way means it's the right way. It just means it's a way, and it's a way that might work. But it's like, again, how many different ways do we have light bulbs now and lighting now? Was Edison an idiot? No, it's like, no, he just figured out a way, and then we figured out 1,000 more ways. And now we take this one thing, the inspiration, the light from it, and we carry it over into 1,000 new things. This is part of that as well.
To be first, you have to really want it. you can't ask for permission. And this is where we've got to return to punk rock. We've got to talk about DIY, do it yourself. It's a way of doing things that doesn't require any permission from anyone else. Some people who don't like punk like to say, it sucks, it's too simple. But to me, the detractors miss the point. This is real, this is authentic, and most importantly, it's unapologetic. It's not trying to be something other than what it already is. And to truly embody.
You know what else is that Reddit, right? You think of startups that really focus on their value prop and really focus, like, especially if you're a tech head who built your product for yourself, like, you're not apologizing that it's not the most aesthetic. You're like, okay, then don't use it. Don't use it. If you don't get value from it, then don't use it. Now, I'm not saying this is the best way to approach a startup and to get customers and do these things, but if you're thinking about what it means to create and what it means to create an authentic product that resonates with people, it's the classic. And I think this is like a Rick Rubin thing where he's like, I find that the more you make a song for yourself, the more that everybody else can relate to it by themselves, right? It's the more that you put in of yourself. It's this weird, you give your unique perspective and then you find out that your perspective isn't so unique. And that's actually a great thing. So I think this value of doing it yourself is good. There is this piece of, there are certain things that maybe you can do yourself, but maybe they'd be better done by somebody else. Even then, I think it's still valuable to learn how to do most of the startup stuff yourself. Even if you do a bad job, like if you can learn how to be a 6 out of 10 graphic designer before you hire a graphic designer, that's pretty good, because then you can go to them and be like, hey, is this good? Is this bad? Like, do I know what I'm actually hiring for? If you're a 0 out of 5 on any skill you're hiring for, it becomes hard to know if that person's good or not, right? So there's this value of doing it yourself, which can also just make you a better day-to-day operator. Like, I've hired so many people and done so many jobs. I've done finance things and HR things and business strategy things and developer things and design things and operations things and tax things. Like, I've done so many things, some of them good, some of them all right. But now I understand and can work with these people and work with experts that really know what they're doing. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't do it myself, and if I didn't struggle in Figma for a couple of days. And now I go, now I feel like I have a better sense of what like a good Figma person looks like, or what good Figma design looks like. Because then I go, hey, that looks like something I could have built in like 10 minutes. And maybe I could, but maybe that's just the expert making it look really simple. Do you have this appreciation or not? You won't unless you put in the effort.
DIY, you don't wait for someone to give you something. You don't wait for someone to teach you how to play. You don't wait for a record deal. Nobody has to come and bless you with anything. You just pick up a guitar and you do it. You pick up a keyboard and you start writing code.
And nothing against Led Zeppelin. I have all those records. But there's nothing on the record that makes me really connect with anyone in the band, because they live on another planet. You're never going to connect with Robert Plant. You're never going to walk into the venue and walk up and, hey, excuse me, Bob. But at a punk rock show, you could watch the band load in, say, you need some help? And all of a sudden you're a Bad Brains roadie. This could happen to me.
The realness about that is really what makes it connect. And when you're early and alone, that's more important than anything else.
This is why building in public is a very powerful social movement, shall we say, because lots of people, like, they're building on their own and they want to get feedback, or they want to just celebrate what they're working on, or they want to flex it, they want to show it off. But I think that's a really powerful piece, because it gives you that connection to the world and lets you get engaged in the world as you do it yourself. You can't overlook the value of connection, the value of feedback, the value of feeling like you're participating, whether you're a co-builder, whether you're another startup founder that's not connected at all, whether you're a potential customer. Like, that access can mean a lot to people. And that access, it smells like authenticity. It feels authentic because, again, most of the time it is.
If you watched my interview with Coinbase founder Brian Armstrong, that's exactly what he did when he was building the first versions of that website. He begged, borrowed, and stole the skills necessary to get a website up. He didn't look for a designer. He used the free open source Twitter Bootstrap library, and it worked great. You don't need the absolute best things. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions. Here's Kurt Cobain of Nirvana talking about.
Here's a fun one. There are no such thing as perfect conditions. Like if you're like, and I find this all the time, even when I do content stuff like this, it's like, oh, I should do this and I should do that. And I have a million things. It's like, when am I ever going to not have a million things to do? It's like a half past never. Like I'm always going to be busy. So why don't I get busy recording some content and not make any excuses and just sit down and talk about stuff and do things and record TikToks and do whatever? Say, okay, it's never going to be perfect. And you don't have to change every aspect of your life to get stuff done. You just have to do the things that you want done. You don't have to change every aspect of your diet to become a runner. You just have to go for runs. I wish it was more complicated. You don't have to be Mr. Beast to be a content creator. You can just create content. Now, mind you, if you want to get big and do a bunch of stuff, by all means, but that's your own discovery of like trying to get your stuff more popular, trying to do this. But the choice, whether or not you put in the work, whether you're doing it in bright lights in this big fancy studio, or you're doing it in a 1-bedroom apartment, or you're doing it in a studio, or you're doing it at a coffee shop because you can't afford Wi-Fi. Like you can do anything as long as you do it, but it's not going to get done unless you participate, unless you make the move, take the action.
About exactly this kind of DIY, bottom-up pragmatism, and why it's actually the best.
We appreciate all different kinds of music, as long as it's good. Doesn't matter if it's on a major label, doesn't matter if it's a tape that someone made on their home boombox or a recorder like this, doesn't matter. And it doesn't even matter even if someone hasn't even recorded something to even have it distributed to anyone. If it's good, it's good. We just like it. So, you know, we usually just play really cheap equipment, and a lot of times before a show we're scrambling for guitar parts and gluing things together just to have a guitar for that night. And we'd be just as happy playing in a basement, you know. Sometimes that's the most appreciative time we have with music, is just being together because we're good friends and we play music.
You don't need perfect stuff. You just need to do it, and do it with whatever you have. Even if you're piecing together whatever guitar parts or whatever.
This is the essence of being scrappy. Doing the most that you can with what you have. And if you don't have a lot, it's finding ways to get access to more. And that doesn't mean go raise $1 million. It means, can I borrow your designs? Can I look up free stuff on Twitter? Can I use ChatGPT? And can I get new? I know somebody, they were using Lovable and they didn't want to pay for the credits, but they had like 10 different emails. So they just signed up over and over and over and over again and kept using those 5 credits they give you per day to do their stuff. Like, ta-da. You can do anything, but you have to be willing to put in a bit of work.
Open source, whatever you've got. Many of Nirvana's songs only had 3 chords, but they became one of the most influential musical groups in history. Later, they did end up getting all that money, all the distribution, but when they started, it was just the purity of the music that got them there. You've got everything you need right now. I can't tell you how often it is that people waiting for perfect conditions is what actually prevents them from starting in the first place. If you are stuck there, you'll never get started. You don't need permission. Do it yourself. If you remember only one thing from this whole video, it's this: do it yourself. Humans have a visceral reaction to experiencing authenticity, even at the cost of perfection. Everyone is so focused on being perfect these days. And to that, I say, fuck perfection. Do it yourself, and if you do it that way, you might be able to create a movement that touches 1 billion people.
That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
So that's it for this week. I really wanted to take a moment to think about what it would take for you to make a real dent in the universe. And that's what I think you need. Keep in mind, whatever you do, a punk rock DIY aesthetic, which means you don't try to create perfection or wait for perfect conditions. That's one of the beginning conditions, I think, for starting a true social movement. It's crazy, it's hard to do, but if you could get to that second follower, then you can get 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, or 1,000,000,000. And if you do that, you leave a mark on the world. If you like this video, please click subscribe and the bell icon. We make videos like this every single week, and all proceeds for these videos go to the nonprofit Code 2040 to help a new generation of very smart people build their futures in tech. I'll see you next week.
This is a great video. One thing I would toss out there just as a challenge, and it's, again, you have to remember who's talking to you. This guy is $1 billion CEO, right? He's CEO of Y Combinator. He wants unicorns. He wants this. Yeah, I'm not that, which means I don't have to give that advice, which is great. I don't care, and I would argue, who cares if you make a dent in the universe? There's a couple hundred people that get to do that. And if you do it and that's you and that's your business, amazing, fine. Make a dent in your universe first. Like, make a business, solve a problem, help your community, do things that add value to your world, not the world. And you'd be surprised how if you really change your world, your life, your day, how much that impacts the world. I find that people are trying to change the world. It's the classic, I want to change the world, but I can't even change my own life. It's like, well, if you actually flip the focus and go, what if I change my life? Then maybe I change the world. The easy example of, I want to start this $1 billion company. It's like, well, what if you just started by making a good product that people liked, and then you're able to quit your job and you're able to fund your lifestyle with this business, and then you created content, and then lots of people supported that content, and then all of a sudden you were able to make another business or have the resources to scale the first business up to the future and impact tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Maybe that's the future, right? Maybe that's the life. But notice that world-changing event started by changing your day, your hour, your month, your world. So when in doubt, when you're looking to see what you should do, look at yourself, look at your life, look at what can be done there to make big differences. And then maybe, just maybe, it'll help a bunch of people as well. So great video. Thanks for the input, Mr. Gary. I'll definitely appreciate it and give it a like, and see you next time. Peace.